Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a $4.5 billion gamble that's happening right now in Taiwan's education system, a high-stakes bet that's forcing thousands of students to make a life-altering choice every single year.
Okay, let's kick things off with this number, 15,900. So what is that? Well, in just the last academic year, that's how many students decided to retake Taiwan's university entrance exam. And get this, these aren't your typical high school seniors. Nope, these are students who have already graduated.
You know, behind every single one of those numbers is a real person, a young person who's basically hitting pause on their entire life just to get another shot. This isn't just some small blip on the radar, it's a massive signal of deep, deep dissatisfaction. So you have to ask, right? What on earth is driving this incredibly expensive, incredibly stressful decision?
All right, let's dive into our first section here, the rising retake wave. And believe me, when you actually look at the data, a pretty concerning pattern starts to emerge, and it emerges fast.
So ever since a big curriculum change, the number of these retakers hasn't just gone up, it has absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, just think about it for a second. It's jumped from a little over 9,000 to almost 16,000 in just a handful of years. That's not just a trend, that's a blaring alarm bell that something in the system is seriously broken. Okay, on to our next section. A $4.5 billion gamble. And here's the thing. This trend, it's not just about students losing a year of their life. No, it comes with a truly staggering price tag for everyone.
Yeah, 4.5 billion new Taiwan dollars. That's the estimated hit to society. And not just once, every single year. All because tens of thousands of students feel like they're backed into a corner with no other choice but to try again.
And let's break that down just for a single student. First, you've got the personal costs, right? We're talking tutoring, living expenses, all that. That's around 170,000 TWD. But then you've got to add the societal cost on top of that. That's the public funding for a university spot that's just sitting empty. When you put it all together, it adds up to about 300,000 TWD for one student's decision to retake. Now multiply that by almost 16,000.
So why? Why is this happening? It's easy to just say, oh, the exam is hard. But it's not just that. The real root cause is a system that's basically designed like a casino. It forces students to make this massive, high-stakes bet on their own future, and they have to do it with incomplete information. Okay, just put yourself in their shoes for a minute. Imagine this. You get a pretty good offer from a university. It's not your dream school, but hey, it's good. Now, if you want to even try for something better, you have to throw that first offer away. Completely. It is gone forever. You're basically all in, betting that you'll get a better hand, but you could just as easily end up with a worse one, or even nothing at all. It's a structure that is almost guaranteed to create stress and regret. Okay, so this sounds like a pretty impossible problem to solve, right? Well, that brings us to Section 3, a Nobel-winning solution. Because it turns out there is a globally recognized, mathematically proven solution for exactly this kind of mess.
It's something called the Deferred Acceptance algorithm, or DA for short. And look, this isn't just some dusty academic theory. This is a powerful economic tool that literally won the Nobel Prize back in 2012. And its whole purpose, its whole reason for being, is to design fair and efficient systems that take all the guesswork out of these kinds of high-stakes choices.
And this is not theoretical. It's already out there in the real world, solving huge problems. We're talking about the algorithm that matches medical residents to hospitals all across the U.S. It assigns students to public schools in major cities like Boston and New York. Heck, it's even the backbone of university admission systems in places like Hong Kong and Australia. It works. So, that leads to the big question. How would this actually work in Taiwan? Well, let's get into it in Section 4, from gambling to smart matching. Because this would completely change the game, taking it from a system based on pure chance to one based on smart, efficient matching.
Okay, check this out. This is the fundamental shift right here. The current system, it actually rewards you for making risky bets and forces you to throw away good options. The day system, though, is the total opposite. It rewards honesty. It lets you rank all your preferences from your absolute dream school all the way down to your safest bet, and you don't get penalized for it. The goal is to find the single best possible outcome for everyone involved.
So the core change is actually pretty simple to understand. You don't have to abandon any offers, ever. The algorithm holds on to all your potential matches as temporary.
Then it looks at everyone's ranked lists all at the same time, does its magic, and then boom, all at once, it announces the one final best match for every single student and every single university.
All right, let's wrap this up in our final section, the path to a better fit. Now, you might think implementing something like this would make things more complicated, but that's not it at all. This is actually about using a proven, smarter mechanism to get a much, much better result for everybody.
So, the path forward is pretty clear. First, you let students apply to more places, all through one single centralized platform. Simple enough. Then, you let this powerful algorithm do the heavy lifting to make one final definitive match. That's it. No more gambling, no more throwing away perfectly good offers. And the result? It's really a triple win. First, you save billions of dollars in wasted societal costs. Second, you get a much better fit, meaning more students end up in programs where they're actually going to thrive. And third, you basically eliminate the regret and the widespread dissatisfaction that's plaguing the system right now. So all of this really brings us to one final big question. The problem? It's crystal clear. The cost, both in money and in human stress, it's massive. And a Nobel Prize-winning solution is just sitting there, on the table, already proven to work all over the globe. So the only thing left to ask is, what's it going to take to finally change the game and build a fairer future for Taiwan students?